Hi, welcome to the Midlife Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Swart. So, here's a question for you. Have you ever thought about just selling everything and moving to Italy? Well, that's what today's guest has done. She is Paola Versano, and she and I talked in the summer, so I'm delighted to share this episode with you. And she tells us all about how she left America in the middle of COVID to then go and get her Italian residency, and has since moved to Italy and has now bought a villa that she's converting so that you can go and do a transformational retreat with her. Anyway, her story is heartwarming and inspirational. But if ever you've thought about packing your bags and running off to Italy, you might want to listen to this first. I hope you enjoy the show. So, hey, Paola, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Lindsay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. It's so nice to have you on the show. The first time we spoke, there was just this instant spark.
Well, I felt the connection as well. We had a very in-depth conversation, and I felt like I knew you forever, just in everything we shared with each other. So I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Fantastic. So what I would love to do is we've got so much in common about our journeys and, the international moves and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But what I would really love for you to share is a little bit about what life used to look like, as much as obviously you want to share, or as much as you, feel like sharing, because it is going back over the old. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about what life was like, because then we'll actually appreciate how incredible everything has now become.
Yeah. So what life was like for me from the outside, if you were looking into my life, you would think I was living the American dream. I'm the first generation daughter of two Italian immigrants who left their beautiful country to go to the US. I'd say about almost 60 years ago now, 50 some years ago now, to build a better life for themselves and for their children. And we did. We had an amazing childhood. I was very fortunate because my parents brought me back to Italy every summer. So I was able to spend June, July, and August pretty much every summer back in Italy with my grandparents, cousins, friends, aunts, and uncles. So it was great. It was it kept me very connected to our culture, which I loved. And then growing up in the US, in a very American place, obviously, there was a little bit of cultural confusion for me because I was living in an Italian household and, going to American schools and having American friends, and traditions and values and family dynamics were very different.
Yeah.
So long story short, went to college in the US, got married afterwards, loved traveling, had two beautiful children, brought them to Italy as soon as I was able to introduce them to this lifestyle, and embarked on my career of businesswoman. My background was in international marketing, worked a lot, raised two children, and did all the things that suburban moms are supposed to do: birthday parties and sporting events and all the social activities and working. And my ex-husband and I even had a business together.
Yeah.
Where we worked together and we grew the business to a very nice, profitable business. And it was go, 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 and lots of stuff and lots of running around. And like I said, looking at it from the outside, you would think that everything was perfect and beautiful children, beautiful house, beautiful lifestyle. And there were many beautiful things in my life. I'm very, very grateful for all of that. But when I took a moment and started to think about me in those few quiet moments that I would find, I knew that something was off.
Yeah, I was going to say, where did the cracks appear?
Yeah, the cracks appeared when it was quiet, when the kids were away for something.
Yeah.
Or if they were with their dad, or if I was somewhere without the constant go, go, go. And my mind would wander into a place that was like, I'm so happy I'm doing everything I can for everyone else. But this little voice would creep into my head. What about me? Right. This isn't me. And I knew that that happened for a very long time. but you have obligations and the kids need you and you just
Yeah.
keep going. And what I found myself doing was filling more and more and more so I wouldn't have those quiet moments.
Right. Just getting busier.
Because just getting busier. And the more I could pack into a day, the more I could pack into the kids' schedule, the more vacations we could take, the more things that would keep me busy. I thought that voice would maybe go away, but it didn't. It just got louder.
Get louder?
It got louder. It got louder and louder. And then as my children became more independent, and they had their cars at 16, because in the US you drive at 16, and their schedules, when they went to high school, their schedules were busy. They would leave from 8 o'clock in the morning and come home at 6 at night, just because of sports and after school activities and dance. They needed me less.
Yeah.
And that voice, even though I tried to fill it with volunteer work and being on boards and travel and different opportunities, it just became louder and louder until finally it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not living true to myself.
Right.
I'm not showing up. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm doing a million things.
Yeah.
Doing things for everyone else, my parents, my friends, my husband, my business, my children. But I'm not showing up to any of that the way that feels authentic to me. Oh. I wasn't showing up as the mother I wanted to be to my daughter. I was not showing up as the wife I wanted to be. I was not showing up as the woman I wanted to be. I was there and I was doing, but it wasn't my true self. And I got to the point where I said, something just has to change.
Yeah.
And I started to listen to that little voice. And I remember one day I was in my bedroom and I was looking in the mirror and I was getting ready for some other networking event that I was going to. And I said, that's not me in the mirror. Ooh. I said, yeah. And I was like, what happened to me? And I'm talking me of like maybe before I turned 25 and got married. I got married at 24. Pre me, the woman that was connected with herself. Like, where is she? I didn't like the way I didn't like the story. I didn't like my story at that time. And I said to myself, this is not going to be my story. I need to really take some time and think about what's coming for me. And that was the year my son started to apply to colleges. And I knew he was going to be leaving because he was going to go away to school, and I was going to be left with my daughter, and she was going to follow him 2 years later because she was going to go away as well. So as soon as I was done the process with him, I would start with her. And I said, this isn't going to be my story. I can't keep this up. I can't keep this facade up. I need to figure out who I am and how I want to live my life. And and I said to myself that day, whatever that means, I'm going to be ready to embrace it. Right. Because I had a feeling it was big. I had no idea how big, but I'm going to embrace it. And that's what started it for me. What started it for me.
In that time, was there anybody that you could confide in safely?
No, there was no one. And I think that's what made it even harder. I was scared to death to voice what I was feeling. Yeah. I mean, scared to death. I couldn't talk to any friends.
Yeah.
They wouldn't I fundamentally believe they would not have understood. I couldn't speak with my husband about it. I tried, but I did try. I tiptoed around it, I should say, to see what kind of reaction I got. It was not good. So I immediately realized I had to shut that down. No, I was surrounded by people all day long, and there was no one I could speak to about it. So I found a therapist. I found a woman that I called a bunch of them, and I said, I really need help understanding what these feelings mean. Okay. And to this day, I'm so grateful that she came into my life. We immediately connected on the phone. She said, I think I can help you. And I had a few sessions with her, and everything, Lindsay, came out. Really? Years of frustration, tears, anger, resentment, fear. They were the most emotionally draining sessions that I have ever had in my life, but everything came out. And she said to me, we're going to work on, who did you bury and who are you resurrecting? And those
Oh.
words just struck me, because when she said that, I said, okay, I have a future. This is not my future. I have the ability to create a future. And we started working on some exercises, which were amazing for me, to understand where were my values, where was I living outside of my values, and what did I believe my life, what did I want my life to look at?
Yes.
Dreaming big, bigger than I thought. Don't worry about if it's possible or impossible. Just dream big.
Mm-hmm.
And I took 3 weeks to work on that exercise, writing day and night, and when I couldn't sleep, and what those aspects of my life, what those dream aspects of my life could look like. And I brought it back to her, and I realized certain things. I realized my ex-husband was not in any of the pictures of what I wrote in my dream life. I realized my career was completely, what I wanted to do was completely different than what I had been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I realized there were a few people whose relationships with me mattered, but a handful of them.
Yeah.
And I realized I wanted to have a different relationship with my children. That was probably the most striking and the most important, and the one that fueled me to make the changes.
What do you mean by that? Can you sort of describe it more?
So the relationship I had with my children, of course I love them. You know, every mother loves their children.
Absolutely.
But I was so stuck in, what were people going to think if I didn't have the perfect family, or my children didn't have the perfect grades, or if they didn't go to the perfect school. I didn't connect with them with who they were. I was connecting as a mother and doing everything I needed to do and bringing them here and there, but I wasn't coming from a place of fulfillment. I wasn't coming from a place of happiness. I wasn't coming from a place of gratitude. And I was projecting nervous energy, tension, resentment onto my relationship with them. I realized all those horrible emotions were going on in me. My facade was show everything is perfect, but in my moments with them, it would leak out. And I realized I am not allowing them to grow. I'm not allowing them to be their people. I'm not allowing them. I'm not allowing them to flourish as themselves. I'm trying to let them grow into who I think they should be, or who society thinks they should be, or who my social circle thought they should be. And that just devastated me. I said, I have an opportunity now to change it, and I'm going to change it. And that's when I embarked on really looking at every aspect of my life and realized everything had to change. Where I worked had to change. Where I lived had to change. My relationship with my ex-husband had to change. Everything had to change so I could create something new for myself and with them that was authentic, that was connected, that would allow me to be the mother I really wanted to be to them. And love them unconditionally, let them flourish, let them experience, let them fail, let them learn, let them grow. Yes, we were in a social circle that was very much, if they're not perfect, there's something wrong with them and you. Well, no, they're not perfect, and neither am I.
Yeah, who is?
And they're never, exactly, who is? You come to realize even the people that are judging are not. But you become so consumed with it that you don't realize that until you're out. So for me, it was my children that just said, they can't have, I'm not going to have an adult relationship with them if I don't change something. Mm-hmm. So that was what really that just gave me the energy to say, okay, it's going to be difficult. I had no idea how difficult, but I have to start making some changes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about those changes. What did you do?
So those changes, some people go through changes and they change career, or they change their marital status, or they change where they live. I changed everything. I changed my career. I left the business that I owned with my ex-husband. I decided I wanted to embark on my lifelong dream of living in Italy, which is where I felt I could be my true self, where I was the person I liked. So my ex-husband and I decided to get divorced. I left the business and I embarked on the process of getting my dual citizenship and setting up residency here in Italy. I changed myself. I changed my hair color. I changed my style to reflect more of myself. And I went on a personal fitness craze where I was like, I'm getting my body and myself back to the way I was. So every aspect of my life, I kind of threw up in the air and said, okay, how are the pieces going to land?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot. It took a lot to figure it out because I know you talked about this sometimes. What we think is where we want to go.
Yeah.
We investigate it sometimes and it's not it.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of trials and errors and figure things out. And then little by little, I said to myself, okay, I need to get to Italy. I need to be in a place where I feel in alignment with my heart so I can see things clearly, so I can figure things out. So I took a few transformational travel experiences, transformational travel trips. Travel for me has always been a catalyst. I always loved doing it since I was a little girl. And for me, and I think for a lot of people, getting out of our day to day and our routine and our work life demands and getting into a place where you have an opportunity to reflect and to think and to dream that's completely outside of your normal day to day hustle and bustle is invaluable. And every time I came back from a trip, I learned something about myself. So I said, I need to do this. And I left for about 7 weeks, almost 8 weeks, with 2 kids at home, no job, going through what I was told was a contentious divorce, crazy rumors about me that I was off the deep end, the judging, the people calling me saying, stay together, stay there for the kids, don't do this. What are you doing? What kind of mother are you? Yeah. All the judgments you can imagine. Yeah. All the judging you can imagine. My own self-doubts. Oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Am I hurting them? Am I, maybe what these people are saying is true. But I knew I had to do it. So I embarked on the process of getting my dual citizenship right around the time that COVID happened.
I was going to say, had COVID
I had COVID thrown into all this, which was something I never in a million years expected. None of us did. And the fear of COVID taking away the possibility of me moving forward was paralyzing. Oh. So for a few weeks, I did nothing except cry. And I remember calling my therapist and I said to her, I'm like, I can't, I'm stuck. I can't move. I can't do anything. And she said to me, look at the big life picture we created together. And I said, I do. And I cry. And she said, that's because you're grieving. You believe right now that your purpose, your effort, your dream has been crushed, has been killed, has been taken away from you. She's like, I want you to dive deep in yourself and figure out a way to make it happen. And I was in the car with her. I was in the car. She was on the phone because we couldn't meet. And I just started, I was like, okay, I can do this. I know I have the power within me. I've done lots of successful things in my life. I can make this happen. And I got on the phone with my immigration attorney and I said, Nick, I can't, the Italian consul in Philadelphia is shut down indefinitely. How can I make this happen? And he said, well, there's a way. You have to go to Italy and register in the town center and stay there 8 weeks. Most of them will be under quarantine because Italy was completely shut down, more so than in the US. And then you'll get your residency and then you can start the citizenship process. And I got off the phone, I went home and I booked my ticket to Italy. I was one of 7 people on a Boeing 777 going to Italy, masked, gloved, sanitizers all over the place. And I remember sitting on the plane saying, I must be crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
because
seriously.
people are, and everyone who I told I was going to Italy for, I was going into the epicenter of COVID, not
Yeah.
out of it. I was going into it. And everyone I told that to, they said to me, oh my goodness, we're afraid to go to the supermarket. You're crazy. You're going to Italy. You're not
Yeah.
going to come home. You're going to leave your children motherless. Someone said
Yeah.
to me. I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I'm going to take all the precautions. I'm going to do everything I can do. I juiced myself up with vitamin C and
Hmm.
magnesium and folic acid to keep myself safe. And I went and I did it, and I started the process. And then from there, which I believe is amazing because I always thought it was woo woo, the energy of my drive opened opportunities for me, opportunities that
I
I
believe
never
it.
saw and
Yeah.
I never thought could exist. And things just started to happen. And I said, this is a force that's greater than me,
Hmm.
pushing me to do this. And little by little, step by step, action by action, it's all about taking imperfect action. I learned it's never perfect, but you
Hmm.
have to take the action, even if it's imperfect. It propelled me forward. So, long story short, after 7 months, I received my citizenship. I
Awesome.
ended up getting an apartment in Italy.
Yeah.
My son went off to college. And I started a new life for myself in Italy. There was a lot of back and forth in the beginning, getting things settled,
Yeah.
finding an apartment in the US that my daughter and I could live in when I was there. She did live with her dad for some time until it was time for her to go to college.
Yeah.
And, little by little, I just put each step forward and I explored new careers.
Hmm.
I examined, what did I like doing? What was I good at?
Yeah.
And I started to create a life for myself here, which included, and now includes, I purchased an old farmhouse to renovate, which happens to be a farmhouse that I rode my bike by as a little girl throughout my entire childhood,
Oh
having
my
no
goodness.
idea that one day it would be mine.
So
And
amazing.
here, yes, yes. So I'm the proud owner of a Italian Piedmont farmhouse that was built in 1885.
Wow.
I do go back and forth a lot to the
Hmm.
US for my business, which I also started finally after a few stop and start fails. I found my purpose and my passion,
Yeah.
and I brought it into the world this past December of 2023. I officially launched it, and I have been working on it since. But all the pieces, the work piece, the career piece, the family piece. My daughter's coming next month. No, she's
Hmm.
coming next week to spend a month with me. My son has been here, so I've incorporated them into my Italian life. And it's just been absolutely amazing. New circle of friends who are expanders. They're women that
Nice.
I did not know in my previous life. I have one friend left from that previous life
Hmm.
who continues to be a constant source of support, but only one. And my new circle is smaller, but
Yep.
it's with authentic women, women who support and who expand and who accept me for the way I am. There's
Yeah.
no judgment. There's just embracing and enjoying and supporting. And it's a beautiful thing. So while
Yeah.
my circle is much smaller, I often say, I love who sits at my table now. I love
Hmm.
it because it's authentic, it's real. It's not the facade of who it was supposed to be or what society thinks it should be. And I am the person I want to be. I am true to myself. I am creating the relationships with my children that I want, with the values that I want. And it's a beautiful thing. It's an
Yeah. Absolutely.
absolutely beautiful thing to see how that has evolved from stress helicoptering mom, not allowing them to breathe,
Hmm.
to whether I support their decisions or not, because sometimes I scratch my head and I'm like, oh my God, do you really think that's the best thing? But supporting them
Yeah.
in whatever path they chose. I do have to say that throughout this entire process, my children taught me unconditional love because as parents, we're supposed to teach our children what that feels like, what that is. But my son and my daughter showed me unconditional love. The when you dissolve a family unit, it's the most difficult for the children. They're the
Absolutely.
innocent ones in
Yeah,
all of this.
absolutely.
Um, and they watched me do that, never wavering in their love and support of me to go and create what I felt I needed to create. So then I could embrace them and bring them into that. It was very
Amazing.
hard moments, especially for my daughter, but really for both of them. But throughout it all, they never, ever questioned how much they loved me or how much I loved them. So whether they supported it, I'm sure they were scared to death at times. There was that unconditional love of mom all the time. And I had my children teach me that. You
Yeah,
know,
amazing.
it was a big role reversal, a very big role reversal for me.
Yeah.
So my son says to me, Mom, I'm so happy you're doing what you're doing. You're so happy you're doing what you're doing. Everything is good. I'm good. Everything in my life is going well. Just go and do, go and experience. I love this for you. And to hear them say that is just amazing. It's
Yeah,
just amazing.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, just briefly, tell us a little bit about your business, because
Yes.
it's all so exciting what you've now sort of stepped into.
So my business is Paola in Italy. It was really important for me to launch it with my name this
Yeah.
time. I've had partnerships my entire life, but this is my business. And what I do is I curate women-centric transformational travel experiences to undiscovered gems in Italy. I put together slow travel and elevated one of a kind experiences for women who want to get out of the day to day, the rat race, the constant burnout, the work life demands, and immerse themselves in an enriching self love adventure of Italian Dolce Vita. And I want to give them the opportunity, the vessel for them to get out of that hustle that they constantly live in and really explore themselves.
Yeah.
Who am I? What am I looking for? What are my values? How do I want to live my life going forward? I work with a lot of women who are facing some sort of transition. It
Right.
could be empty nests,
Yeah.
as you work with a lot of women, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be change of career or just change of relationship status. But it's really women who are looking to give themselves permission to do life their way. Something is not feeling as good as it could be. I'm not saying
Yeah.
wrong, but as good as it could be. And a lot of them believe the same thing that I experience, that travel and getting out of your day to day has the power to open up doors to self discovery
Yeah.
and to grow as a person. So, my community that I'm putting together is women that are embracing some sort of change in their life. That means different things to different people, but they want to come together with other like hearted women and feel supported, something I never did, feel
Yeah.
heard,
Yeah.
feel that the impossible is possible. I'm a testament to it.
Mm-hmm.
I, I did it during COVID. And honestly, I thought what I was doing in some cases was impossible. But when you're determined, when it's your calling, when it feels right in your heart, nothing is impossible. You just need to know that you're supported and that there are strategies and actions you have to take to get there. But nothing is impossible.
I think
So,
I was going to say, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there, that it feels right in your heart.
it has to feel
Yeah.
right in your heart.
Because
When it feels, it drives you. It gives you courage that you didn't think you had. And trust me, I didn't think I had the courage to do this.
Yeah.
But when it feels right, it almost feels like you're moving forward in an out of body experience.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm like, who was that woman who got on the plane when everyone else was scared to go to the supermarket? How did she come up with the solutions? How did she figure it out? But when it's right in your heart, it drives you. And that's something that if you ignore, it declines very quickly in your quality of life. You really have to listen to what your heart is telling you. So it's really designed for any woman who just wants to, who believes in the possibility of changing. and making what you think might be impossible because it's so far stretched from what your day to day is now, making it possible. And it's also for women who believe in the power of travel. As I mentioned earlier, travel has always been a catalyst for change for me. And anytime we travel, there's an opportunity to discover all kinds of new things in the environment you're in, but most importantly, discover a lot of new things about yourself. The time and the freedom to explore your innermost thoughts. What are your aspirations? What are the new possibilities you want to discover? You know you're great. You know you bring value. So the trip is really about appreciating your own self and rediscovering what are your passions, what motivates you, what do you aspire to, and how do you want to live authentically and with purpose and confidence. And it starts the process of you thinking about what that means to you, because it's very hard to gain clarity when you're living the day-to-day work-life demands in the very hectic lifestyle. Or if you're even living the sadness of being the empty nest mom, or in a different relationship, it's hard to gain clarity and inspiration when you're stuck in the same thing that you've always done and in the same environment. So it gives you an opportunity to get away, to experience a beautiful new place, and a lifestyle that celebrates women and their authenticity and passion and their beauty in all forms.
Yeah, I mean, that's so valuable, to give yourself the permission to start exploring into something new. Absolutely.
As women, we don't give ourselves permission enough. So this isn't the typical tourist trip where you're going from church to monument to museum, day in and day out. You're not hop on, hop off bus type trip. And it really isn't solo travel. It's really a transformational experience where you're not alone for when you don't want to be alone, because you can do this trip one-on-one with me as your guide throughout it, or you can do it with a bunch of girlfriends to really have an opportunity to bond and grow together after some sort of transformation has happened in their lives. And they're some of the best experiences.
Amazing. Now, how can people find you on social media? Because I'm sure if you're doing trips in Italy, there have got to be some glorious pictures for people to really get a taste of what you're doing.
Yes. Check me out on social media on my Instagram page at Paola in Italy. Okay. The website is coming soon, so that'll be up shortly, probably by the time this airs. That will be www.paolainitaly.com.
Excellent.
And from there, you can take a look at all the experiences that are being offered in this transformational travel experience, and how to connect with me to talk about, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Just to know that there's a community and there's a person that has been there, done that, and come out on the other side. I never thought this level of fulfillment, this level of passion, and this energy to get out of bed in the morning to tackle the next Paola in Italy project would be part of my lifestyle.
Amazing.
Which is just an amazing opportunity. Yeah.
So cool. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm so
Lindsay,
pleased.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I really just want women to know that they are not alone.
Absolutely.
If the trip is
that.
not in your cards right now, reach out anyway. I'm happy to talk to you and share some of the skills that I've learned.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the show today. If you enjoyed it and you found it inspirational and motivational and encouraging, please do leave a review. I'd be so grateful. Also, below this episode, you'll find resources to help you through your midlife journey. There is also the community in the Facebook group. And I will see you in next week's episode. And thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye.